All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, February 10th. We have a 10-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays. So I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4. More juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we made it out yesterday, well, first off, we cashed our plus 1,400 Eagles Super Bowl winner future, so very, very excited about that. And we go 2-0 in the NBA there. Only 2 quarter unit plays, with Bucks team total over. They soar over that. And then Raptors team total under. The final score looked like a halftime score. So, yeah, 2-0 night. We're not going to fire off the money gun just because it was 2 quarter unit plays. Not going to get too crazy over here, but we shall take the 2-0 night. We don't have a ride of the day. I told you guys we probably won't do one yesterday, but let's go ahead and jump back on that train today. Use the hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping aboard with one person's play, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. You also get a shout out over on my Twitter/X, which is right here if you do want to follow me there. And a shout out with the final plays on the Guy Boston Sports site. If you win, we continue to ride your plays. If you lose, we talk about it. You got to face the soundboard, womp womp, but still worth it. Go ahead and drop those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. Like I said, we have a 10-game slate to dive into here in today's show. We'll try and go through this a little quicker than normal. I'm not feeling all that well, not because we were celebrating the Super Bowl last night, but hopefully this is just like a 24-hour thing. We got some sort of stomach bug. Everything, even water that I'm taking in, right back out. Barely slept. So if this is a little bit quicker or something like that, we're flying through games, that's honestly why, but figure we should try and get some rest today and get through this. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into game number 1 here. Cleveland taking on Minnesota. Right now, Cleveland 9-point favorites. I've also seen some 9.5s out there. Injury report is going to want to be what we look at here, or is going to be what we want to look at here. Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards listed as questionable. DiVincenzo still out. Julius Randle still out. So obviously those are major factors. Minnesota's playing some good basketball. They are 8-2 over the last 10 games here straight up. 6-4 against the number. They've been playing a lot of games at home. Actually, a couple, like that loss to Washington is pretty bad. But other than that, you know, they took down Portland, who was playing really good basketball. They beat Houston, but now they are on the road. They're not as good on the road as they are at home. But still, don't you think 9 points? If Anthony Edwards plays, 9 points seems like it's a little bit too much. These two teams played, was about a month ago, right? And it was a 124-117 win for Cleveland. Now, that was in Minnesota, I will say that. But overall, 9.5 points. I think Minnesota can keep this one to double digits. So I'm going to slightly lean towards Minnesota plus the 9.5. I don't know if I get there again. Banged up Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley banged up, no Julius Randle. Like, there are factors here that would contribute as to or explain why that's at 9.5. But to me, it just seems like it's a little bit too much. Cleveland's 4-6 against the number in their last 10 games. They just beat Washington by 10. They were 17-point favorites. They beat Detroit by 3. They were 3.5-point favorites. They lost to the Celtics outright as 1.5-point favorites. So they haven't been the best ATS team lately. Now we turn it to a total here. Both of these defenses, I will say, are pretty good, or at least I believe they're pretty good. And obviously Cleveland's going to like the perimeter. They're going to shoot a ton from the perimeter, especially the way Mitchell and Garland have been playing. That's where Minnesota's defense is killer, right? Like, they're very good at that. And they're also very good at stopping the pick and roll, which is something that Cleveland runs a lot. So this is in a 228.5 as of right now. Maybe it's moving up because I think I've seen 229s out there. I'm going to also lean slightly towards the under. And then no major player props as of right now. I know that stinks. There's a ton of good players in this game, but if I add anything, it'll be with the final plays, a little bit of an explanation, but nothing as of right now. All right, Washington taking on San Antonio. Kind of a weird one here. That's a big number to lay if you are San Antonio, but you're playing Washington, right? Like, it kind of makes a lot of sense. No Alex Sarr, no Marcus Smart, no Chris Middleton in this one. George is a game-time decision, so Washington still banged up, still obviously a very, very bad team. I think in this spot, I'd be crazy to even consider Washington. So by default, I'll look at San Antonio. But I will say San Antonio is not playing, the best of defense as of late. Now, they actually held Charlotte to 115 and then Orlando to 112. But neither one of those squads are like high-scoring teams, right? I'm not saying Washington is, but Washington can play with a fast pace. So can San Antonio. So if there's not going to be much defense here, maybe that's how Washington stays in this game. If you're liking Washington, that's probably your argument as to why. But overall, their defense is so bad, I cannot get there with 11.5. So give me the Spurs minus the 11.5 points. That total at 236. I did mention not much defense. It is a very high number, but I think it'd be silly to love an under in this spot, even though it's at 236. Are either one of these teams all that good efficiency-wise in offense? Not at all, but neither one of them are all that tremendous when it comes to being able to, stop the other team as well. So I think it's a little silly to lean towards an under. I don't know if I get there myself. This seems like a trash can type of a game where anything can happen. So take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going to lean towards San Antonio as well as a slight lean towards the over. In terms of where we go player prop wise, this is a Washington team that does cover the pick and roll fairly well. So all of a sudden I start to look away from the normal that we've seen now, De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, and I kind of want to focus on whoever's going to get in isolation against this team, which this isn't a Spurs team that isolates all that much, but it probably ends up being De'Aaron Fox it's going to isolate, right? So I think I'd look at him and potentially Devin Vassell because he can run in transition. And like I said, I don't think there's much defense going to be played in this one. So I'd lean towards De'Aaron Fox or Devin Vassell to have decent games here player prop-wise. All right, Orlando taking on Atlanta. Trae Young listed as probably. He's been on the injury report for a while now, still playing, so I expect him to play. Jalen Suggs listed as doubtful here, but not out, so maybe we keep an eye on that. I think that's obviously a big boost to this Orlando squad. They're coming off a win against San Antonio 2 days ago, right? And they've won 2 of their last 3, so I guess we can give them a little bit of credit for starting to play better basketball, but this team really still is kind of like, to me, I don't really know what to make of them. You flip it over to the Atlanta side of things, and it's like they just started to win games. They had lost like 6 games in a row. Now they've won 3 of their last 5. I do think that 5, and I've seen 5.5s out there, is a decent amount of points here. This is like a 3-4 point game for me, so it's very marginal, but weirdly enough, I'll lean towards Atlanta in this spot. I don't think this Orlando defense has been as good as we've seen, and you know what? If Atlanta's going to continue to play somewhat decent basketball, like I said, they've won 3 of their last 4, 1 against Washington, 1 against Detroit. They did beat Milwaukee, though, but overall, if they're going to continue to play good basketball, I think that this could be a decent spot, and it's not like Orlando, like I said, hasn't really been proving themselves. Like, there's something weird going on there. I expect this to be a close game. Orlando probably wins it, but maybe by, a smaller margin. Where I do think Orlando comes in is completely controlling the pace here of this game. You have the number 1 pace team over the last 10 games going up against the second to last pace team here over the last 10 games, that being Orlando. I think Orlando slows this one down. They do not allow Atlanta to get out and run. Last time they played, which was pretty much a year ago, 109-92. Take it for what it's worth. It's low scoring. Time before that, 106-104. Again, we're talking years ago, so I wouldn't necessarily put too much stock into that, but it is decent to see, right? So, yeah, I'm going to go under 221.5. I think Orlando controls the pace in this game, and then definitely not a player prop spot that I'm loving. But if I did like some player props, I would head over to Sleeper Picks because they still have the Play 5, Get 55 deal going on right now, and you'll get a free square when signing up. That link's going to be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment if you guys do want to check it out. Again, Sleeper Picks, you play 5, you get 55. It's absolutely a no-brainer. Go ahead and check it out. That link will be down below in the pinned comment. Jump back into these games. All right, Brooklyn hosting Charlotte here. We do have some injuries that definitely would matter in terms of breaking this one down. D'Angelo Russell listed as questionable, and then the Charlotte side of things, LaMelo listed as probable. Nick Smith, Josh Green, and Diabate all listed as a game-time decision, as is Mark Williams there now that his trade has been canceled. I think that, we've seen Brooklyn beat the Charlotte team. Both teams have been banged up, but we've seen this Brooklyn team beat the Charlotte team twice this season, 116-150, a close one, right? And then last time they played, which was obviously when both teams have been banged up, 104-83. I think Charlotte probably gets a little bit of revenge here. I'll take them plus the 4 points. The one thing I will say is, the Charlotte team has started to, I guess, now I've talked about it before, because LaMelo has been out and in and out of the lineup, their numbers start to look like they shoot a lot more in the paint, but when he plays in there, they do take a decent amount of threes, and I kind of like Brooklyn's perimeter defense to stop that. We faded Tyler Hero the last time that he played Brooklyn, and mainly because, as weird as it is, this Brooklyn team is a tremendous pull-up, jump-shooting defense, which is going to be massive for LaMelo and massive for the Hornets because LaMelo is their team. So, yeah, I'll look at, Charlotte plus the points, but I do think it's going to be a low-ish scoring game. One place that I might go before even liking Charlotte is a LaMelo under in threes. He could still get to the hoop and score, so I'm not necessarily all over a LaMelo under. But I do like the idea, especially because Brooklyn's not the best isolation team. They're not bad, actually, which is crazy enough. But, I'm really focused on those pull-up shots, which is how he shoots his threes. So that's kind of where I'm keying in. Like I said, he could have a decent scoring night. I don't think he makes 4 threes, and we're getting plus 110 for that. So under 3.5 threes for LaMelo is probably my favorite spot in this one. I mentioned a low-scoring game, probably a slight lean to the under as well. All right, Miami taking on Boston. I am sorry, guys, if we are blowing through some of these and I'm not giving my normal time dedicated to each game, but struggle bus today for sure. Not really feeling well, so we gotta get in, get out, and get some rest so we can be better for tomorrow in the future. Because right now I'm running on 0 hours of sleep. Anyways, just wanted to explain myself. Miami taking on Boston here. Miami obviously getting that trade with Andrew Wiggins to go through. Now Jimmy Butler is no longer there. They are coming off a loss against Brooklyn. That was, 3 days ago, right? Boston coming off a win against the Knicks in which they looked very, very good. 5.5 points does not seem like enough to be giving the Celtics team. But it's kind of weird, right? The Celtics team on the road, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why this line is where it is. You look at the injury report, it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum questionable, but I haven't seen anything that they're not playing, right? So it's I imagine one of those guys is not playing based on this line. It just has to be, right? So I'll say this. We don't have that confirmed or anything like that. If those guys play, I like the Celtics minus the 5.5. If even one of them are out, I probably don't flip to Miami, but I probably stay away from it. You know what I mean? Because this Miami team, who knows? Maybe they'll start to put things together like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and Khalil Ware. Pretty good starting line. We have Jovic off the bench. The team on paper should be pretty good now that they don't have the drama to deal with. So yeah, I'd probably stick away from it if Jason Tatum doesn't play. If both those guys are good to go, I mean, Drew Holiday is not in, but I think that, again, I've said before, he's the replaceable starter. If those two guys don't play or one of those two guys don't play, I stay away. But if they do, I don't mind the Celtics minus the 5.5 points here. Total at 219. Yeah, the Heat defense obviously can do wonders when it comes to stopping the Celtics. I just feel like we've had that historically. They give them such a hard time, and these have been such low scoring games between the two, whether you're talking playoffs or earlier this year. I have to lean towards the under. Growing up a Celtics fan, and by the time we had that gritty Heat team, these have just been low scoring games. So yeah, it's probably going to go sailing over now that I say that, but give me the under 219 in this spot. 15.5 is a lot of points to be laying if you are OKC, but at the same time, the Pelicans not in the best spot right now, right? They have obviously no DeJounte Murray, still no Herb Jones, Brendan Ingram shipped out. It's Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, Alvarado, and Missy starting, which isn't terrible, but you're going up against the best team in the NBA right now, right? So yeah, it's a tough one to want to go out there and lay that many points, but this seems like it could easily be a 120 to 100 type of a game. So screw it. Give me the favorite, minus 15. I don't like taking those plays myself. I just think that these are two NBA squads. 15.5 is just too much to ask for, in reality. But overall, I mean, it's still the Thunder versus a bad team, right? So I could see someone wanting to be like, hey, screw it. Just back the Thunder. Total-wise, like I said, a 120 to 100. I would go Pelicans team total under probably before I look at anything. I think that the Thunder, the way that they want to scoring in the paint and whatnot, they could definitely have some success for sure against this Pelicans team. So I wouldn't really want to mix them up in an under, but this Pelicans team, I don't really know where they're going to score from. They like to score in the paint. This Thunder team, the number one team in the league in terms of points in the paint allowed. So yeah, give me the New Orleans team total under. In fact, right now, that is probably going to be pretty damn low, but let's see what we can get it at. Let's get an updated line for you guys. Because if it's anything around 110-ish, then sure. So under 110.5, minus 150. A lot of juice. Potential play, though, to be completely honest. I don't mind that. All right, Bucks Warriors. We saw the Jimmy Butler Warriors look pretty good, I guess. They won, was it 132 to 111 against the Bulls. Jimmy Butler, Steph look good together. I get it. But you're giving me a Bucks team at home. I mean, Giannis is listed as out, but I still do think Dame and company could play well. Steph is listed as questionable. This is a tough one. I think that I want to take the points with the Bucks at home, but again, they are on the back-to-back. They played yesterday. We cashed their team total over. No Giannis, right? At least as of right now, they can declare their back-to-back, starting lineup and whatnot a little bit later. But I'm seeing Giannis out. If Giannis plays, which I don't think he will, because what is his injury? It's a calf, right? And he's missed the last 3 games. And he'll need more time to heal. So, yeah, they see him returning after the All-Star break. So he's not going to play regardless of the back-to-back here and how long they have. if Steph doesn't play, I like the Bucks. If Steph does play, maybe I stick away from this one, because what if the Warriors, like, as much as I've ragged on Jimmy Butler and whatnot, what if that was sort of a piece that they needed and they are going to click? Like, maybe. Maybe. I do still think the Bucks can compete in this spot, so I'm leaning Bucks, even without Giannis, but I'm really hoping Steph is not in. I probably don't touch it if he does play. We're looking at a total of 231.5. This is probably an under spot. I mean, the Bucks are on a back-to-back. Take that, as good or bad, but on back-to-back situations this season, just 44% to the over, so obviously 56% to the under. Golden State, when they do have rest advantages over their opponent, 40% to the over, so 60% to the under. Both teams are going to want to shoot the three, which Golden State's been good at defending that. Milwaukee's kind of struggled, but again, if Steph doesn't play, that's a major score from the perimeter out for Warriors. So again, it kind of hinges on Steph, but if he doesn't play, I like the under there as well. One spot where this is could be a fair look would be maybe if Steph does play, Steph's assists or something like that, because obviously if he runs this pick and roll, this Bucks team, honestly, for the whole year has kind of struggled against the pick and roll. So I don't mind the idea of, points plus assists. It's a high line at 34.5, which is very, very up there, but I also could just consider his over 6.5 assists. Believe you're getting plus money for that as well. Dallas taking on Sacramento, and I'm a little confused as to why Dallas is slightly favored in this one. They have a ton of injuries, including their newest acquisition. Anthony Davis is now going to miss a couple of weeks with an adductor, one of the two. PJ Washington questionable. You still have Lively out. Max Christie questionable. Dante Exum questionable. Meanwhile, Sacramento's sitting there as a healthy squad that has, won a few games recently. So, some quality wins. They played good basketball. I still believe in the Sacramento team, I guess, long term. And how is Sacramento going to want to, one, play defense and score the ball, getting inside, which is kind of where, when they play defense, they should be able to stop the Dallas Mavericks inside. When they play offense, they should be able to score inside, which is what they like to do. So, yeah, this is setting up for a spot in which I consider Sacramento team total over and or them on the money line. Right now, the money line odds is pretty much a pick 'em, but you can get plus 100 over on DK. So that's where I'd go in this one. I do think with the injuries to the bigs and whatnot, we could finally see a game in which Sabonis looks good. It's kind of been a little while since I feel like we've seen him consistently dominate. He had, 26 or 27 last time out, which obviously is good against the Pelicans. Maybe he can do something similar, because I do think that once this team starts to mesh, he's going to be able to obviously, produce really well. And this is a Dallas team that struggles against the pick and roll. Sabonis loves setting those screens. All right, guys, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 17. Let me know that you made it this far. I do truly appreciate it, even with what I can only imagine is a little bit lower energy than normal and that we're flying through it. But I don't want to keep talking about how much woe is me is out here, but we got to fly through it, trust me. We have Denver taking on Portland here. Denver 9-point favorites. Total sitting at 233 right now in this one. I like Denver. I think Portland's little streak and run potentially, coming to a close here with that loss against Minnesota. They're playing such good basketball, but don't look now. Denver's playing really good basketball. They're at home now. Portland has struggled down the road this season. And, if this is a team that, wasn't all that great at scoring inside, then maybe I could consider Portland. But Denver should be able to combat that good interior defense of Portland. So give me Denver minus the 9 points. Total right now, 233, like I mentioned. I see this one kind of right around that number. Right now, we have this game pegged at 128, 129, so I'll lean under, but just because I think there's going to be a lot of 2-point shots in this one, but it's a very, very marginal look, honestly. Lakers taking on Utah. Is this the Luka debut game? He's listed as questionable, as is Austin Reeves, as is LeBron, as is Dalton Knight, as is a bunch of guys on this squad. So obviously they're still very injured, but Utah, no KJ Martin, no Colin Sexton, so they've been injured as well. I've been liking taking these big numbers with Utah. We didn't do it against who they played recently, the Clippers. They got beat by 20, right? But prior to that, we liked them against the Suns. They covered Golden State. They won the game outright. But I'm kind of liking the idea of Luka making his debut and that type of thing. So if all that goes according to plan, yeah, I'll lean towards the Lakers, because I think there's going to be a similar, kind of feel and excitement as there was with Jimmy Butler and Golden State, only times 10. So if Luka plays, I'm going to go Lakers minus 13 or minus 12.5 in terms of lean. If we get there, I'm not sure. It's still a big number, right? If he doesn't play, I actually don't mind Utah plus the points. Utah's defense isn't all that great, but it's not like we're sitting here looking at a Lakers team in which their defense is all that good, and they really are not that good at stopping points in the paint, which is where Utah has done a little bit of damage lately. They've been doing that, plenty, to be completely honest. So yeah, I do think isolation is going to kill Utah though. So anyone that isolates on the, I mean, whether you're looking at Reeves, LeBron, even Luka, right? They should be able to do whatever they want against this Utah defense. Very, very bad team against isolation, but still 13 points is a lot. Total sitting at 234 and a half, 234.5. Yeah, I'm gonna go under. I know I don't like the defenses here, but I do think that even if the Lakers look good with Luka, I think that slows things down a little bit. And the Jazz, I don't necessarily look at them as this really, really efficient offense. And the Lakers, hopefully this game does not get up-tempoed pace, because the Lakers right now, nearly a bottom 10 team in terms of pace over the last 10 games. If they control the pace, this one shouldn't be an up and down, back and forth type of a game pace-wise. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.